you're 30 or older, you know you need to stretch before doing this. Don't even give me that excuse. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to cover splitting wood by hand 101. Today on So a couple tools you're going to need to split wood: a splitting maul, possibly a splitting wedge, some safety glasses, and some wood. So I want to talk a little bit about the difference between a splitting maul and an axe. So here is an axe. You can see it's a little bit sharper, more pointy-ended, whereas a splitting maul is a little bit more tapered and fat. And so this is a lot better for splitting wood, where this is a lot better for chopping wood. So when you split firewood, using an axe isn't going to be ideal compared to a splitting maul. All right, this is rubbed off a little bit, but this is an 8-pound maul. They do come in 5, 8, 10, and I think 12, but 8 pounds seems to be the sweet spot for me. Gives me enough force while also being able to swing this for a long period of time. So what you're going to want to start with is a nice base. This is what we're going to put our piece of wood that we're going to be cutting on. I like to use big pieces of wood for my base, usually the bottoms of trees. These usually make for good cutting bases. So here's the piece of wood that we're going to split first. And so what you're going to want to do is examine the piece of wood that you're about to split. As you can see, there is one knot in it. So we're going to avoid cutting into the knot and try to cut out towards the knot. That way, if we cut this way, it's splitting away from the knot and will give you an easier time when cutting. All right, so we're going to want to look at the top of our wood now. And as you can see, this is a drier piece of wood, and wood naturally cracks as it dries. And this is a natural crack in the piece of wood that I have here. And so we're going to want to try to hit right there when we swing the axe. This is also thankfully away from the knot, which is going to be perfect when we try to split this. All right, so what we're going to do now is line up our crack right where we're going to swing, and we're going to face our piece of wood perpendicular, get in a nice athletic stance, kind of get roughly about a arm's length away from your piece of wood here. And what we're going to do is there's two sorts of swings that you can take while splitting wood. One is lift up in front and come down. The other one I kind of like because it generates more force, which is swinging behind, come up and over. So I'm going to give you an example of the up and over. And what we're going to do is summon the force of Thor. As you can see, here's our knot that's in the piece of wood here. And where this goes is actually to this other side. So that's why we wanted to cut perpendicular away from the knot, because that is what splits nicely. Okay, now I'm going to give you the second example of just sliding up and in front. So now we're going to do a little bit bigger piece of wood. So this is where our splitting wedge comes in. I like to use this for green wood just because it's a little bit harder to cut. And so we're going to drive this bad boy in there and use it to split this wood. And quick tip when you're using a splitting wedge, make sure you use safety glasses because we're doing metal on metal. Shards in the eye, no bueno. Okay, let me show you how a splitting wedge works. Okay, drive that bad boy in there. Hear those fibers cracking as it slowly expands? That's what that splitting wedge does. See how these fibers are all wet still? That's what makes green wood hard to split. Okay, now that we got this split, we're going to cut this off in triangles of pieces that way, and just making the wood a little bit smaller every time. So here's roughly the shapes that you're going to want to get for your firewood. This is about 4x4, you know, also make triangles. But this just makes it so when you stack it, drying is going to be a lot quicker than if you have big giant wood pieces. But This is what fits in my wood stove. This might vary based on where you're burning your wood at. All right, that's gonna wrap this one up today. A lot of this is just gonna be rinse and repeat after that. You know, it took me about a couple hours to split a cord of wood. But it's just nice to build up your strength and be outside a little bit and not have to use a gas splitter. So let me know down in the comments how you like to split your own wood. But if you wouldn't mind, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.